Tennessee has been destroying recruiting. They saw Ohio State pick up 10 commits over the course of this dead period in the age of the virus and said, we're coming for everything too. Picking up 8 commits in a week, including 2 5-stars. Yesterday, they added 2 more to their class of 17 total and the number 3 ranked class in the 2021 cycle on this May the 4th be with you. And Cody Brown, 4-star running back and the 124th player in the 2021 cycle, top 150 kid. And then Deshaun Ruckner followed suit by saying, I too am going to join up with Jeremy Pruitt's Volunteers. And there's a true Pruitt footprint going on here for Tennessee that I think is worth pointing out. Because if you look at their recruiting from the top down, you'll see kids from Florida, Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. It's very clearly what Jeremy Pruitt wants to recruit from. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? As a matter of fact, you can make an argument everybody needs to go into Georgia, Florida, and Texas, and even California to a degree, though I'm beginning to wonder how important high school football is, let alone college football, to the state of California. If for no other reason than we're watching Georgia for the first time in the history of recruiting produce more blue chippers, 4- and 5-star kiddos, than the state of California, which, 1 in every 8 people in the United States lives in California. As much as many people don't like the state, there's a bunch of people that live there. And what we know about football in particular is the bigger the population, the bigger the talent pool. The bigger the talent pool, the better the football team. The better the football team, the more highly recruited those players are, right? Meanwhile, Alabama, where they just play football, Georgia, where they play football almost year-round. I mean, we're talking about them being able to put together high school football practices over the summer in a way that I hadn't seen before, and I really had to dig into it to understand that's how they get so good, but also, this whole thing with concussions and injuries, and is this ethical, let alone immoral? While we're arguing about it, Tennessee and Alabama and LSU and Georgia and the like continue to recruit all hell right now. As Tennessee has been destroying the recruiting trail, along with Ohio State and North Carolina, and even Florida to a degree, there's been some movement by LSU, right? Picked up a couple of commitments last year, 4-star kiddos, one of which is really great, 6'6", 245-pound Landon Jackson out of Texarkana. Yeah, stand up. I'm looking at Alabama, who ain't quite in the top 20 yet. And I'm looking at Oklahoma, who is barely inside the top 50 right now, even as we have lots of rumor to suggest that Lincoln Riley has silent commitments that he just hasn't tweeted about. Okay, cool. I can understand, one, why you wouldn't tweet them anymore because, well, you've been burned more than once by silent commitments. And we might need to put the googly eyes on the hot seat if that happens again. That said, when folks are continuing to build, and when you can look at a place like Tennessee that hasn't played in a college football playoff and hasn't won a conference championship in the last decade, you got to wonder how is it that that school in this year is so far ahead of a school like Oklahoma that has been in 3 consecutive college football playoffs and 4 or 5, right? You got to wonder how Oklahoma hasn't just gone ahead and sewn up Caleb Williams as they have produced not just the last, year, 2 of the last 3 Heisman winners, because I keep forgetting about, Jalen Hurts is here. But also Jalen Hurts was, whether I like it or not, a second-round draft pick. And it's the only school in the common draft era dating back since 1967 to produce 3 quarterbacks that were selected in the first or second round in 3 successive years, right? Now, one of the other reasons that this is getting hotter is because nothing charges up a fan base like watching your recruiting go through the roof, because we are all here for hopes and dreams. We are all here for the promise of the future. Because unlike a season, right? You can look ahead and say, wait till next year. You could be the Cubs forever, right? A lot of us are watching The Last Dance. One of the first one-liners that we heard was Michael Jordan talking about the Cubs been building for 42 years, right? They eventually won a World Series, but at what cost, right? And how many Cubs fans didn't live to see it? We're heading toward that territory, I believe, with Oklahoma in national championships, especially as these recruiting rankings seem to keep pushing them downward. I mean, since 2019, finishing number 6 in the recruiting rankings, we look at 2020, finish number 11, and they might have a hard time finishing in the top 10 if you don't pick up some of these uncommitted 5 stars, many of which at the top are Ohio State leans, are North Carolina leans, Will Shipley, Notre Dame leans. I mean, you continue to look at this group and you're going, all right, outside of Caleb Williams, maybe Mario Williams, maybe Christian Leary, right? Perhaps a few others. But if you're going to build through recruiting and you're trying to fan the flame of season tickets, which everybody needs to be doing right now, including Oklahoma, you need to show on the trail. You need to show on the rankings that this is what you're about and this is what you're doing. I mean, Neyland Stadium, it's 100,000 folks. They know they got to fill it. And it's hard to fill it. If people look at your recruiting rankings and see, we ain't going to be any good in the next couple of years, why would I pay money to go see that? Why would I give up money I don't have anymore in the age of the virus to go see that? I submit to you, I don't know that you should. You know, now I understand that for many folks, it's a birthright. You're going to do it. I mean, you're going to give your money to the institution, but so many of you will remind me that in the 90s, a lot of empty seats in there. During the Blake years, during the Schnellenberger year, even during the Gibbs years. And I don't think that, looking back, I mean, 9 wins during that time, why are people upset about that? But also, looking forward to what Lincoln Riley is building toward, that 2021 year, cool. That's the magic year. That's the one I think that Oklahoma has the best opportunity to win a national championship based on what the roster looks like right now and how it needs to mature. Now add in there Jaden Hazelwood blowing out his anterior cruciate ligament in his knee, and you really got to delay that for another year because that's one of your top wide receivers. Or at least you should, right? Because they overperformed in 2019. You got beat by a Kansas State team you probably shouldn't have got beat by, but you beat an Iowa State team that you probably should have lost to, and a Baylor team that you probably should have lost to, at least the first time, right? To say nothing of Texas Christian basically playing with you without a quarterback, you know? And watching Texas Christian just dismantle Jalen Hurts. It's another reason why I'm not high on the second round draft pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. I've seen what he looks like when he can't complete passes. It ain't pretty, right? I think that the window is closing for Oklahoma. I mean, after that 2021 year, you got to look at the rankings. You got to look at what the predictors of success are. And finishing behind this Tennessee squad, by the way, at number 10 when they were number 11, is not a good look. It's not a great look. While we continue to think of Oklahoma as not just sustaining winning seasons, but 9, 10, 11 win seasons, 12 win seasons, one of the things I learned most about college football is you're not guaranteed that, right? People catch up. To believe that you're always going to be a step ahead without work of your peers is to be arrogant in a way that leads to your demise. You have to be chasing it. And the way to get good, son, is to go get it on the recruiting trail. Step it up, Riley. If you got him in the bag, go get him. But your window is closing. And it's closing with each one of these commits that goes somewhere else. I no longer want to hear about, hey, Oklahoma didn't really like the kid. Well, hell, somebody else did and they went to win with him. I no longer want to hear things like Jansen Dunn, who's committed to Oklahoma for an hour, and then Ohio State comes in and swoops and takes a kid that you really liked. You got beat for him. Now, it's a long day to early signing period, and then there's the transfer portal and all of that. But in the Big 12 conference, cool, you're king. But is the Big 12 conference all you want in life? Because I look at it from a national perspective. And the national perspective is you get into the college football playoff and you're going to get beat. You're Notre Dame. There's something completely wrong with that? No. But there's only one way to look at it. You got beat. Did you finish with a win in the national championship game? Are you chasing this sainted arrogance and sainted title chasing of Michael Jordan? Are you doing it that way? The guy that everybody wants to revere, the guy that I think is overrated and cowardly. But we'll get to that in a little bit.